Known for his famous pose, Ken Dryden is also known to have worn one of the most famous masks in NHL history. And the Hall of Famer Ken Dryden joins us now. Ken, you started out your career wearing the so-called metal pretzel mask coming out of college, and then from 1975 to 1979 you started wearing the target mask. Who came up with the bullseye scheme?
Well, that was me. The idea wasn't to be a target mask. It was supposed to be the sort of concentric C's of the Montreal Canadiens. And so it was really the red and the white and the blue C's coming together. The cutouts on the mask kind of made people assume that in fact under what would have been the cutout would have been nothing or would have been color and therefore the target. But really they were intended to be just C's, three different colors of a C.
Dan Bouchard of the Atlanta Flames felt that when he wore his painted masks that players tended to shoot higher. Did you ever get a feeling that players were shooting higher because of the bullseye?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I think in fact in most ways during the time that I was playing is that shooters did not shoot high. There was still the kind of conventional message from coaches of a pre-mask time that said in practice, don't shoot high. You can't shoot high. You're putting our goalie at risk. And because the early masks were not very protective, it meant that in practice, coaches would be yelling at shooters that if they shot high, and goalies would as well. And that what I found is really that during the time that I played, you almost never had a top corner shot. That the shooters were so used to shooting lower because of the yelling that they were hearing, that they were basically operating on a net that was only about 3 feet high.
Ken, you grew up playing without a mask. NCAA rules force you to wear one. Did you find it difficult or lose the puck in your feet as a taller goaltender once you started wearing that mask?
No. Once you had to make the transition, then it was easy. If you didn't have to make the transition, and during the time that I was playing junior B hockey, masks were certainly starting to be used by other goalies. But goalies were so used to seeing the problem with a mask, and so you'd have it on your face, and you'd say, "Well, I can see a little bit here; it gets in my way." Or if I try to look down at my feet, I can't quite see the puck. I mean, all you need to do is turn your head down, and you can see it. But so long as you didn't have to wear it, then you'd be looking for reasons not to wear it. As soon as I was in a position where I had to wear one at Cornell and in the NCAA, then all of a sudden those things don't even exist and it's not a problem at all.
So what's your favorite all-time mask?
Well, I mean, as you said, I only made, I only wore two. And they were both fine for their time. I mean, the reason that I changed from the pretzel mask to the other one was that the pretzel mask was really falling apart. I mean, it was smaller, and so it only really covered to the point of your chin and nothing to your temples or further back. But also it had cracked, and so literally I had wound tape around where the mask had cracked through in the thinner parts right near the eyes. And so I wanted something that was more protective. That's why I made the change. And each was really for their own time. I mean, I liked wearing each of them. I think probably the fans preferred the pretzel mask to the mask that came later. Because it was a little bit more unusual and very much based on the original Jacques Plante mask.
Including masks of other goaltenders, what's your all-time favorite?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think the Jerry Cheevers mask was fun. I mean, it was just the right idea at the time of here masks are new. And both as a reminder to yourself as a goalie and to others, the effect of a mask of as he did of drawing on what the stitches would likely have been from the stick or from the puck I think that was the most interesting and clever, of all of the masks.
I've always found it ironic that despite putting on a mask, goaltenders back then were still recognizable by the masks they wore or the way they painted them.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the masks of that time were really primitive. I mean, they often they were, they were made even by the goalies themselves. That was a part of it. But they rested right against the face. I mean, I know it with my masks, and I think for most goalies, they literally rested against the face. There was no even space for foam padding between the fiberglass and the skin. And so what the masks would do is that they would distribute some of the force a little bit. They would protect you from the worst blows. But I mean, if you got a shot off the mask, it hurt, and it shook you up, pretty considerably.
Ken, thanks for joining us.
Okay, you're welcome, Dan.
Ever wonder what's involved in the process of designing a goalie mask? We'll show you firsthand when we return.